What are you doing right now? How's Bracebridge life?
Bracebridge is going pretty good. I don't know if you guys saw. I just did a video for the dance studio in town.
No.
They relaunched their new brand. The previous owner left, and the new owner took over. So I told him I would do it for free. So I went in, and then I recorded like an interview style documentary.
Nice.
And then she posted it. When was it? Monday?
Did you share it too?
Yeah. Well, I was on Facebook. I didn't share it on Instagram, but I shared all my stories. I shared it.
Oh, okay.
So it's on Facebook and then Instagram stories. But yeah, it's on their page.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Are you going to be...
Well, that was pretty fun. That was probably one of my best things I've done so far.
Nice.
So I did a couple classes in August, like workshops. She had me come in and teach a couple. So
nice. Are you going to do more
I did P90X for 2 months just so I could get back in shape.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then after August long weekend, we did it like once or twice a week, and then we just kind of stopped doing it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I was going for runs up and down the hills.
Really?
Yeah, I had to get in shape.
I mean, yeah, the class...
Like I taught in May and I was fine.
But you wanted to be like...
But then I was like, I need to not look like I'm out of breath every time. Because you have to talk and then teach, and you're doing it for an hour, the same stuff.
Yes.
So by the time August came around, I was pretty golden.
Nice. Are you going to continue to do the classes?
Yeah.
Nice.
They're letting me drop in anytime for a class.
That's sick.
And then she asked if I wanted to teach a couple of the higher up students.
Nice.
For like competition and stuff.
That's awesome.
What do you guys want to do when Brian's down? We should we should just hang out.
Yeah.
The three of us, no woman. This is being recorded.
Well, Adrian will be busy, so it'll just be me.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Or we could have
just the trio. Maybe Gage can show up.
Yeah.
The usual.
The
Bow River crew.
We need that. Hey,
we need this.
Yes, we need this.
Boys. Yeah, that'd be fun.
We got to get some of that. What is that? Crusties?
Oh, we got to get Crusties.
Yeah. Order Crusties.
Yep.
Yeah. Extra dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I'll think of some stuff. I got some ideas.
Let's do this Saturday.
Saturday the 12th or Saturday? Yeah, you're gone, Nick, so it has to be
Yeah.
Saturday the 12th.
I'm going to put it in my calendar.
Me too.
Boys' night.
The boys.
The boys.
Night.
The boys.
Nick.
Yes.
I want to know, in your opinion, what colors I should look at for like shirts.
But
Colors,
what do you like to wear?
Brown, black, gray.
So brown and black for sure. As long as the brown has some like body, some like red to it. If it's like gray brown, it's just gonna wash you out, and you're gonna look like turd Slenderman. Like it's not gonna work. Like black, absolutely, totally fine.
One color I should never wear is like
The one you're
pink or
wearing.
salmon. The one I'm wearing.
Yeah, pink or salmon, absolutely not. You're gonna look like a sick person.
You got to go with the earthy tones, the soft pastels.
Yeah.
Warm neutrals. Every shade of green and teal.
Yeah, you can pull off teal for sure.
He's got two different colors teal on right now.
Because of my eyes. It matches my eyes.
Right. And it contrasts your hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, navy blues, military style greens, whites.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So when you go with Sid today, just take pictures and I'll look at my phone. And I'll tell you.
You're doing a try on today. You're buying the new school year clothes.
No, I got. She bought me shirts from RW and Co that don't fit, so I got to exchange those. And then I got like a couple gift cards to Mark's.
You're gonna have a whole new wardrobe. Get some pants too.
I've got shirts. I've got good t-shirts. I'll maybe buy a couple more. I'm gonna get some sacks.
Nice.
Some socks. Maybe pants. Yeah, I need pants.
You need pants.
I like those. I do like those. Kind of like cut off pants.
Yeah. You can possibly wear those. Take pictures.
My style has changed so much over the years.
What do you
like now?
wear
I just
now?
wear. I like to wear I have these cuff pants from RW and Co.
Yeah,
but they're like baggier, like fitted. Like I used to wear like tight jeans all the time.
Yes.
Like they're fitted, but they're like they have some bag to them. They're not like all slim tight. Like
Yep.
I used to wear the Lululemon like dress pant
Yep.
for like work in the past. Like I still have those, but like tight t-shirts and stuff, I hate that now. Like if I'm wearing a t-shirt, I have to wear a crew neck sweater over top of it with pants. Like the baggier I feel the most comfortable in my own skin. Like I don't like, even though I'm in shape, I don't like
you don't like get snugged.
Yeah, but I used to do that all the time. Like in my early 20s, like was like how
no,
so uncomfortable.
because you're like, oh, I wear like a large or extra large t-shirt. I'm like, it's big, but it works on you. Like it works.
But it also depends on the t-shirt too.
For sure.
Like some medium t-shirts are not medium t-shirts, and then some larges are too small.
Yep, I know, it depends. Standard.
I don't think I'll ever go with those wide leg jeans that are popular right now.
I just tried a pair on.
I don't think I could rock that.
Can't do it. I tried them on yesterday. They don't look good on me. And I even had like boots on too. Just bad. I don't know.
I mean, you ever look at yourself in the mirror when you put something on? You're like, why did I like this on the shelf? And then as soon as I put it on, it's horrendous.
Right. Well, it's like it's like color. It could be like what you think is going to fit. Yeah. Yeah. Trying on clothes is hard. Let's talk about Nickelback.
Sure.
We'll talk about Nickelback. I have to go to Costco, and it's going to be a nightmare at 12:30.
Okay. Everyone, welcome back to 2 Hours on a Sunday. I'm Brian.
And I'm Nick.
Brandon's back in the studio with us for the first time in a long time.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi. It's been a minute.
It has
been a minute. I've been on your podcast.
Because we found the perfect topic today. Something we don't normally do on the podcast. And we're talking about music today.
Yeah.
Because we're taking the liberty that Nickelback put out a documentary. So we're tying it into the film aspect. But we're like, you know what? Screw it. We're talking about music in general.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited about this one.
To one of my favorite bands growing up and how you guys used to make fun of me for it. So we're really diving into that. When I put it out, you guys said, yeah, let's talk about it.
I don't think I made fun.
I can attest we did make fun of him.
Yes, you guys did. 100% you did.
Yeah, we did.
Maybe a bit later when we were really young.
Like grade 6. Because I didn't. So let's dive into the first time we heard them. Because I can't remember if it was How You Remind Me or it was Hero. Because I was only 9 years old. And Hero, because it was at the end of the Spider-Man movie.
Yep.
Brian. Oh, I was going to say, why did you like Hero so much, Brian?
Yeah. No, I'm saying that was the first song I heard from them.
Yeah.
Because growing up, I didn't have musical knowledge. Like I grew up, my mom always played Shania Twain. Mm-hmm. We had Michael Jackson in the house. We had Backstreet Boys in the late 90s.
The two highest grossing musical artists of all time.
Yeah, and then my dad listened to country. We had Kenny Chesney and stuff on whatever. But like I didn't know music. Like it just played.
Like it wasn't for you. It was like everybody else in your family. Yeah.
Yeah. But like they were still bangers. Like Shania Twain and Michael. Like I grew up with Michael all the way still to this day. But I didn't have anything for myself until I heard Nickelback. And then Ian was a huge musical influence for me. Mm-hmm. So in my teens, like say 11 to 13, it was like Billy Talent, Sum 41, Blink 182, but that was all his influence.
Right.
So I think Nickelback for me, when I discovered Animals, Saving Me, Far Away, Nickelback was the band that resonated with me the most, and it was mine because no one else I talked to was listening to Nickelback.
Right.
So I thought, okay, this is something that I can have for myself that I discovered.
For sure. I feel like Hero was my first introduction to them as well. And I was like, oh, that's a great song. And it was Spider-Man, so that made it even better. But I kind of like missed the Nickelback bandwagon. I kind of jumped like right into like Green Day's American Idiot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that too. I was also hard on that. But you guys were heavily influenced by Journey, Kansas, Rush. So that was my other side of my life, music-wise, when we were in band. Mm-hmm. That was your influence on me. But Nickelback was strictly
like your thing.
Seemed like no one else listened to but me. And it was like popular to hate them at the time. And I was too young to even know.
Right.
I don't remember much like before the 8th grade, but I remember around grade 7, mostly grade 8, when like we started to really get into music. We started to form these really, really dumb opinions about music.
Absolutely.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And we got, and because all we were just obsessed with the band Rush. That's all we want. That's all. And Dream Theater. We thought everything else was did not compare to those two bands.
Yeah.
If it wasn't progressive rock, and we were like trying to find an identity in music, I guess. Right at that was like the first year that was the first year I got into music.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember with you guys, with Nick and our other friend Gage especially, it was very like, we were very like, had these really childish opinions about, certain bands, if they were too poppy or played bass with a pick. That was lame,
It's like all I do now.
So, yeah. But Nickelback, I remember I went through a phase with them, and I think I'm trying to remember if I went through a phase. I think it was like going into grade 9. I want
Dark
to say.
Horse.
Yeah, I think it was. They still had All the Right Reasons. That was the album, and Dark Horse hadn't come out yet.
Dark Horse was
I think it was like
2008.
2007.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And in that year, the summer of, I think it was 2007, the summer of that year, I went and saw them at Bayfest.
Oh yeah,
in Sarnia, and that was my first concert I had ever been to. I remember showing up, and we're walking up to the festival area, and there's this stage, and it's like I've never seen a stage this big in my life, and it's outdoors, so you see like where the top of the stage is, like it's just this massive structure that they build.
Yeah,
and when you're like 13, 14 years old, like it's just like and you just feel the energy of the crowd and the people and the like this massive structure that's in front of you, right? And there were a few openers.
Did they headline?
Yep.
That's
sick. They headlined, and they were still on the All the Right Reasons tour.
Oh, okay.
And what's funny is that actually the album was just in my house. I think my mom bought it. My mom.
I think everybody had the album.
Yeah,
like because that's how
the
big
album
it was.
The album I had came with this like DVD that was like a tour documentary. So it was like, it must have been like a special edition or whatever. And it came with this documentary. And before that concert, I watched this documentary like every day. I was obsessed. And that was my Nickelback phase. This like tour documentary about the All the Right Reasons like tour up to that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like selling out arenas, and like they were showing footage of like the drummer, who was like he was amazing. Like he was like, he had this really nice like cool pearl kit with like the wood finish or whatever it was. And just like the cymbals were so shiny, like these Sabian cymbals, like they were so shiny, and like it's like they cleaned them before every show. Which now I'm just like, I see a clean cymbal and I'm just like, ugh, because I'm like, that probably sounds terrible. But like for what it was like it looked so sick. And he did this drum solo every night.
Was that Daniel?
Yeah. And then it showcased like how much fun they were having on the road, and like, partying, and like, it was just like, oh my God, this is sick. Like they're like, this is what I want to do. Right. And so that started my phase. And then we went and saw them at Bayfest. So I kind of already knew the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember there was a few opening bands which I've never been to a really big concert at that point. And I was 13. I think I was 13 turning 14. And I think Favor Drive was the first band.
Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah. And they just got signed, I think, to like, I think Chad was starting to have his label at that point, and he signed them.
Mm-hmm.
And then Headley was after them.
Solid.
Yeah. And we won't talk about that.
Nope.
But and then I think I can't remember if there was someone else, but then Nickelback's about to go on stage is like completely black. I forget what the intro music was, but you just felt like it was like a rumble. You just felt the anticipation, and it was just like, oh my God, And then all you heard, there was still like a black curtain covering the stage. And then all you heard was the and you're just like, oh my, and it's like the loud, and we were like pretty close. It was the loudest thing you've ever heard, right? And then when the whole band comes in, the curtain drops and the loudest like firework pop.
That is
like
so sick.
And the curtain falls and it was like, oh my God, like it was so good. And yeah, and I still, even though you're a kid, you still like, I still remember, because I mean, I've seen them since, but they're so good live. Like, and like their live sound too is like the guitar tone, when that guitar riff came in,
it's perfect.
And then the drums come in and the kick is just like, like amongst musician friends, we joke about it. Like, I had the chance to see them last summer and we're just like, yeah, I can't wait to hear that kick drum just like punch you in the gut, because we know like that's the Nickelback experience. Like when you go see them live, that's what it is. It's like a joke. Like the drum sound is just ridiculous. You know, like just So anyway, yeah, that was my phase. So I'm sorry if I made fun of you, Brian. Officially, I apologize.
It was like
I was
walking around
secretly
with
going
MP3
through
player.
What's that?
It was my grade 6 phase. I had a little MP3 player and I was playing songs. You're like, why are you listening to Nickelback?
Yeah.
And like grade 7, when you guys were getting into your stuff, I was still listening to Nickelback. They're like, oh, they're the worst.
Yeah, we issue a formal apology on behalf of our younger dumb selves.
Yeah.
And then you guys finally came around.
Oh, so for me, it was Brandon called me or something one day, or it was while we were still at school. He's like, hey, I'm going to come over after and we're going to watch a live concert.
Yeah.
And he like biked over and he had the Nickelback Live at Sturgis concert DVD. And we just put it on in the basement. And I'm like, wait, are you serious? Like, what is this? And it's just like, it's just pure rock and roll. It's like, I think they probably started with the Animals as well.
Yeah,
and
they definitely
that was
Animals.
The same show that I saw. It was like a DVD they put out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it just hits you. And even though you're just watching it on TV, it's so captivating. They're so cool to watch. The sound is amazing. The mix even on the DVD is really good.
Yeah.
Because at that time we were watching Snakes and Arrows and R30 from Rush. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, yeah, that's like on the same level. It's not cooler. Like, it's got this whole, I don't know. They've got something about them that's just so unapologetically unique. And now I can definitely appreciate it. Whereas before I was just, we were caught up in what we wanted to like and we refused to appreciate or acknowledge anything else as being good. But it's good. It's good stuff.
That's the thing. It's like they're really exceptionally talented musicians. Like Chad's voice is ridiculous. I don't know how he makes that sound
all night.
Yeah, and it's like, and those are high notes. Like those choruses are up there, and it's full rasp, and he's got an amazing singing talent. Daniel's an amazing drummer. They're all killer musicians. Like they write great music, great parts. Musically like they have like parts in their songs that are a little like they do musically flashy things in their music. Like they're both great guitar players. They're great musicians. They really are. Yeah. And that's at the forefront of their stage show. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do they have any other? I can't remember. Do they have any other musicians playing with them live? Like, do they have like a keys player or something?
They used to have a guy that would come out and play keys and acoustic. And
okay.
I don't know if he sang or not. That's the other thing. Ryan he's an amazing background singer because he has like tailored his voice to sound like Chad's.
Yeah.
So his voice perfectly meshes and blends with Chad's. So they're just a really solid unit. They're a band. Like those four guys are a band. Like
they've been best friends since the beginning, right? That's how they started. It was a family band with Ryan.
Yeah.
And then it grew. Yep. But it was crazy watching the documentary. Some parts of songs I didn't know were Ryan.
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah.
Because I would hear on the record, I'm like, oh, that's just like Chad doing another vocal take with some effect on it or whatever.
It probably is.
But
It probably is.
right, but Ryan
Does it live?
does it live.
Yeah, and it sounds just like it.
It's so
Yeah.
good. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I never got to see them live.
You didn't, eh? I haven't
No,
either.
I'm a fan from afar.
Yeah.
I don't get this. I don't go to many concerts because I don't like being in the space of that many people. And
Yeah.
they would be one of the crews I'd go see for sure.
Seeing them now, it's interesting. They're headlining this big country festival. Boots and Hearts is a big country festival up here in Canada. It's the biggest one in Canada, and they're headlining this country festival. And you might think, like, why? Like, why is Nickelback headlining this country festival? And I think there's a very specific reason for that, and I think it's very smart. They wanted to have more like of a rock night, but I still think Nickelback is tied into the country genre, especially the modern country genre, in a big way. I think, like, this is just my personal theory. I think without Chad Kroeger, modern bro country doesn't exist.
I agree 100%.
Like, honestly, like that. I mean, because that bro country kind of, a lot of it stems from the production style, a lot of the parts, like the drums, like the guitars, a lot of that stuff stems from that early 2000s kind of rock sound, right?
Yeah.
That like alternative contemporary rock thing.
Yep.
I think that was a really smart move on Boots and Hearts' part, because I think this was the first year that they tried that like rock night, but they used a band that was like, and Chad, is he's tied in with like guys like Dallas Smith.
That's
I
right.
can't remember if he's signed to his label or not, but definitely had a hand in helping build up some of these up and coming modern country artists. I think there are still some artists signed to 604 Records.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
That's his label?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So really smart move on Boots and Hearts' part to bring in Nickelback for their first like big rock night,
I think they're the best like segue into the country rock genre.
And guess what? Nickelback's openers on their last tour was country artists. Josh Ross, Hardy.
That's right.
They were all, yeah.
When you said the modern country sound would not exist without Nickelback, the first thing I thought of is Hardy, like the drum sound, the really heavy rock guitars.
But even like Florida Georgia Line, like
yes,
all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
I think there was a big influence from that, again, that early, even to like the early 2010s. Some of the stuff that Nickelback was doing with their label, with bands like My Darkest Days, like some of the stuff they were putting out had that slow, very mid-tempo bro country thing, right? And I know that stuff gets a lot of flack nowadays, but you have to credit where that sound kind of stems from, because it was so big at a time, So,
do you think that caters into his writing style as well? Because in his earlier albums, I had a chance to listen to every single album in preparation for this. How the first couple albums, they were so word heavy, but now the lyrics are so simple, and to the point where I think if you sang it a little bit differently with a little bit of twang, and his lyrics are so simple, it's more of a country record for his slow stuff. Like he took the simplicity of how country artists write, but applied it to like rock and roll.
I agree, and that's essentially the sentiment of modern like bro or rock country. It's relatively simple lyrics or topics that are pretty universal or party styled, party themed, and not going for that more artistic. I don't want to use that word. More of that thought provoking approach, right? Because I don't want to diminish it in any way. I don't want it to be like, oh, they're talking about parties and getting drunk. It's like and thinking that's anything less than anything else. It's just that's the style.
I've got a question for you guys. So we talked about why we love Nickelback, what our first introduction to that band was. We watched the documentary, right? Nick, you touched upon like lyrical content. We talked about their live show. They're great musicians, that you can't deny that.
Yep.
Why do you think they were so hated?
They got famous really fast. Like they were up and coming band for a long time, even till like Silver Side Up. They had Never Again as a single, and they had How You Remind Me. But I think because they were signed to the label they were signed to, that was a mainly heavy rock record.
Mhm.
And when they put out Silver Side Up, they had How You Remind Me on there, and it got played every 2 minutes around the world. And because they got famous so fast, because if you look at the albums before that, then there wasn't a lot of traction, especially coming from Canada. But once that single hit, you couldn't get any radio time because they were so popular. With a song coming from a heavy rock label that's not heavy rock and it's very for the radio. So you can say that some people say that they're selling out to be heard more on the radio. Because then following that album, you had The Long Road and then All the Right Reasons, where All the Right Reasons, there's like 11 songs in the album, but 10 of them are singles for the radio, you know?
Mhm.
So I think they play to their strengths and how well Chad can write, but it's unfortunate that everyone thought they just played for mainstream and they got so much play. It's basically just people were jealous that they got famous the way they did, is how I looked at it from watching the documentary and growing up knowing about the band.
Right. And I think you hit everything that I was thinking of, but I wanted to add, coming out of like the 90s and early 2000s, people were still kind of on that grunge, post grunge, getting into heavy rock and metal. And like you said, they were creating essentially accessible music for everybody that incorporated rock and roll elements, but heavier rock and roll elements. But it was still for the radio. So people were just like, these guys are posers. And it just really, I think anything new like that sours people pretty quickly because it's different and it's new. But like we said, now we hear it, or in the 2010s at least, we heard it all the time in the form of modern country. So it just became ubiquitous because it kind of started with them, but somebody's got to get hated. And that's what the zeitgeist decided. That's who the zeitgeist decided to dunk on.
It's like people think they're trying to be rock stars, but they're mainstream radio stars. Like they're posing as rock stars, but they're making music for the radio. But they're just writing good songs that happen to get play.
Right.
You both touched on kind of in general what I was going to say as well, or what I was thinking as well, which is, yeah, they were so in your face. That's it. Like Brian, like, yeah, they were so in your face. They were what Billboard, I think they were the band of the 2000s. And they were also the most played band of the 2000s. So from 2000 to 2010, right? Most like radio played band. You know,
that's
so
wild. I didn't even know that.
Which makes everyone go like, ugh, like, well, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like that's Ed Sheeran now, you know?
Right.
That's Ed Sheeran now. He's going through it, I think, where it's like, we've heard Thinking Out Loud 40 million times, you know? Like it's time. And then his subsequent singles that also, it's like contemporary radio will make you the biggest thing on the planet, but will also make people sick of you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Which is awesome. I want that. but yeah, like, so they were in your face. And then Nick, I like what you said about like coming out of the grunge era. Because I think in the 90s, there was this appetite for like real, raw music, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like Nirvana killed the 80s.
Yeah. They killed the high production.
Yeah. Like Smells Like Teen Spirit comes on and everyone's like, oh, what? All right, here, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, and that's what it was for a long time. And then, you know, you start getting back to this more polished pop injected sort of thing. And it's cool for a while, and then people really get into it, and then they go, oh, I see what you did there. You tricked me with your good sounding vocals and drums,
flashy
ear
stuff.
candy.
Yeah.
Tricked me, and now I'm angsty and gonna go back and listen to, and then, I think there was an internet culture too that they touched on in the documentary, the internet culture that was like the memes that would come out.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was like, again, kind of a rebellion that happened in the early 2010s, probably a rebellion. And people wanted were craving a little bit more of these are big generalizations, but I think there is a cultural zeitgeist. Like, you have to acknowledge that there is a cultural zeitgeist, especially around music, right? Like, there was maybe more of an appetite in the mainstream, at least, for more real, authentic sounding music and probably lyrical content too. And then, so that Nickelback thing kind of went into another genre. It went into country, right?
Yes.
Like, it was a huge wave of that in country, the bro country, the big sounding, ridiculous sounding snare drums.
Mm-hmm.
How your snare sounds is like 80s. Like, think of an 80s snare. You think White Snake, right?
Exactly.
And then all that is it's like, that was all the right reasons. Then that was, all the bro country stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the sounds people have a craving for, I think, play a factor.
It's really cool to see the changes in just general acceptance of music styles over the decades. Because we had that real natural musicianship in grunge in the 90s, and then we had the 2000s. It was kind of catering towards pop, and 2010s it was pop, and now, well, like Brandon, you and I were just at Boots and Hearts a couple weeks ago, and like the kids are singing like Cody Johnson. Cody Johnson's a Texas country guy.
Yeah, we are in an we're in an era
going
now.
Back to that natural musicianship feel.
Yeah, that's why Zach Bryan is the biggest thing on the planet.
Exactly. We got
It's
Noah
like
Kahan,
he goes up there with
Zach
an acoustic
Bryan.
and a band that has like not much going, like, as far as production goes. I think they're, and they're selling out football stadiums. It's crazy.
Football stadiums for like essentially a country and western
style sort of like
band, like Americana is going to be filling up stadiums now.
It is.
It already is.
His whole last tour is like football stadiums. Like, it's
wild.
Crazy.
It's wild. Yeah. But we're in that cycle of tastes right now. We're kind of, I think the general public is like, I want to feel the rawness, the musicianship of the music I listen to.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting to me that this documentary came out when it did, because
it always comes in waves.
Yeah.
It comes and goes,
because it sparked my interest again in listening to Nickelback, because I've been kind of getting into, I'm like, what are the kids listening to these days? And I've been trying to get into it, and I'm like, okay, I understand where it's all coming from. But it was a cool refresh to have to get to watch their story kind of from the beginning and go through some of their songs and think, oh yeah, this is good.
I like their quote when they talked about, we play Nickelback songs for Nickelback fans.
Yes.
Towards the end, when they're playing shows now, they don't care about pleasing everybody.
Right.
Their fandom is big enough where the people who come to their shows want to hear them. They're not here for anything else. So that's why they play the shows they play.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a cool place to be if in your career, if all your, now you just amass this fan base. So you're not worried about what people think of you. Right.
Yeah. It's like front loading the work, putting in the hours and weeks and months and years, and now they can kind of say, this is a show for you guys.
But I found, going back to preparing to talk about this with you guys, listening to all the albums, I started with Curb, like 1996, one of their EPs, all the way to now. And I thought to myself, I listen to a lot of different music now, but I thought I hadn't listened to Nickelback in maybe 10 years. Like, I forgot some of the albums after Dark Horse, because Dark Horse was such a big moment in time for me. When going back, I thought to myself, I did listen to this album when it dropped. Like I was there day one.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that with Feed the Machine. When I got to Feed the Machine, I said, I think I maybe have listened to this, but I don't really remember. But when I put that album on, I was like, oh, I played this for like a whole year. How did I forget I rocked this album? It's one of my favorite albums because I remember when No Fixed Address came out and Here and Now. Nick, you and I were walking around Bow River when Here and Now came out in 2011.
Yeah.
We were on Rook Line, and I was talking about some of the songs and Lullaby.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, obviously Dark Horse is one of my favorites, but I kept forgetting. I forgot that I was still in it every time an album came out.
Right.
The only album I didn't listen to was Get Rollin', like when it dropped.
What is that one? I don't even know that one.
It's the new one that they're on tour with right now. It's the one with the bus on the cover, the album artwork, the big tour bus.
Oh, yeah.
That album is okay to me. It's not. They went back because Feed the Machine was very rock heavy. And that's how I like some other stuff. And Get Rollin' was like that party country vibe. And so some of it, they had a couple, they do their rock hits. They have like 2 or 3 rock hits on the album. And then they feed into the softer country ballads.
Right.
I thought it was really interesting in a documentary when they said they were talking about their early days in the 90s and forming this band. And they had a different singer at the time. And Chad was just playing guitar or whatever. And they talked about booking their own tours and touring in Canada. And they were playing covers.
Yeah.
And they were doing like Tragically Hip covers and like all these like Canadian sort of bands and you know, whatever. And they were touring on that. And I just couldn't help but think like, man, those days are like, that's like lore. That's like, you know what I mean?
It is.
That's like no one is getting in a van anymore. Even in like 2008, 2009, like when I was in a band in high school and like there were bands that would like come to Windsor in a van and play shows at our venues. And like, that was a thing. Like, and I just remember those, and I remember that. And like, we were too young. We were like literally 15. We couldn't even drive, but like seeing the bands pull up in their white van and be like, oh,
yeah, I had my mom drive me to those shows.
Those 4 idiots drove from Ottawa to Windsor,
right,
to play it like
at the Blind Dog.
I say idiots lovingly, like I think it's awesome, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's like that's insane. Like nowadays, that's like who would do that? Like that's insane, you know?
Right.
Well, they were also calling every record store around the block to see if they had the new record. Like their own record. They were like, oh, do you have this record? And they would just drop off CDs as they were driving to the gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's so cool because it's like, oh man, like those, like Canada is we're a ginormous country. And like, it is impossible to just get up and tour here. Like it's very, very difficult. And, you know, the fact that they did that and really did things from like this grassroots sort of like pounding the pavement thing.
Yes.
I guess he would call, like Chad Kroeger would call labels and like lie and just, or like not labels, but like record or radio stations and just like straight up lie.
Yeah.
You know, just like, and that's so cool. It's just like, yeah, like who cares? Like they made it happen. Like they actually, and I love, the thing that's always missing from these music documentaries is like, where did the money come from?
Right.
Yeah, they were broke.
Because every documentary is like, so we put out our first album, and it's like, no,
you did not.
And it was recorded at this studio, and it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that was,
and it just got this attention.
$10,000
and like,
a song.
Yeah, it's like it sounds like $100,000 record. Like, where did the money come from? They always leave stuff out.
Yeah,
they always leave out like certain details, right? Because it doesn't contribute to like the charm of the story, you know. But they were just like, yeah, we borrowed money from like, this is how much this EP cost, and we had to borrow the money and like tell everyone we were going to pay them back. You know. And it's like, I love that. I'm like, yes, talk about money, talk about the real nitty gritty details.
Yeah,
because again, these documentaries just go, and magically we just got this attention. And
a record
cost us
up.
$0.
Yeah.
What's that?
And I feel it's really good for the aspiring musician or artist to be like, it's how much? It's just,
back then it was that much. Now it'd be like, you know.
Oh yeah. But it's such good information to have, to be like, oh yeah, this does cost stuff. Like it takes it doesn't just take the sheer talent.
Yeah.
It doesn't take, just going on tour. There's so much financial burden associated with it.
Yeah. And, unless you're a wizard on your laptop and you can do it yourself, and that's cool. But
Right.
back then it was like, no, you had to rent a studio in Vancouver or something, or Toronto, and
drive there.
And pay an engineer and drive there and buy food and gas. And, it's, I like that they included that in the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about those early touring and kind of the way they went about things. It was very okay, I like that you didn't just skip a bunch of steps here,
They kept
recording in their garage,
yeah,
for that first EP they were working on to try to get into studios.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. That was done on tape, I'm assuming. Was it, or would it be digital?
I don't know. They had Pro Tools then.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because that would be so expensive too.
Yeah, no,
even just for a short EP.
They had Pro Tools and stuff then.
Yeah.
So I know you guys said you were going to listen to music prior to this podcast.
Yeah.
So did you feel the same way that I felt, that you forgot some songs or how good some songs were going into it?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Same thing with Here and Now for you. I was like, oh yeah, we literally were in your Ford Ranger listening to that album. I totally forgot about it. I still have it somewhere. I have the CD. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, even some of the older stuff. So you made a playlist for us, kind of
I did, yeah.
Your top.
I listened to your playlist. I did.
Yeah, and
it was 35 songs just to get the basics of what I thought would prepare you guys for coming back.
And Brandon and I both kind of thought, we're like, it's a lot of sex in here.
Yeah. Well, half of their albums are about that.
Right.
That's all Dark Horse.
Exactly. So
Animals.
When you look at Nickelback just on a whole, you're just like, oh, they're just a fun rock and roll band. But when you really get into the songs that people remember, that's kind of the content.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice in the documentary, I think it was Ryan Peake acknowledged it. He goes, yeah, our lyrics are often vapid and stupid,
yes.
They actually acknowledge that, which is cool too. I like the reason I like the documentary is because they touched on things that I wanted them to like.
Yeah,
it's tell us how you did it, actually how you did it.
Yes,
and then tell us, and then acknowledge, because it's we don't know why people hate us. It's come on,
yeah,
come on, it's not that they should be hated, but I'm saying, but it's you know why people have complaints.
Yes,
and they did acknowledge it. They're like, yeah. Yeah, we get
have
it. And it's
lowbrow lyrics. It's heck yeah. But
even Chad was talking about something in your mouth, and he says sometimes people just want to hear nonsense.
It's true though.
Yeah.
Sometimes people want McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right.
It just so happens that the song shreds.
Right. And I'm not disappointed with that song like I am with McDonald's, but you're right.
Yeah.
Like I said before, it was a cool refresher and reminder that they're one of those bands that even if you're not kind of vibing with that sort of music right now, since we kind of grew up with it, we're like, oh yeah, I can get back into this. Mm-hmm. Or even just for the sheer talent that it took to create that. And now watching the documentary, having a better appreciation for the work that they put into it and the honesty that they were forthcoming with about the creation of who they are now. I think that was super cool. And I definitely have a better appreciation for the band and the music now more than I ever did.
Mm-hmm. It's their songwriting style stems from friends, family, and love, drugs and alcohol, and sex.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the whole spectrum.
Yeah. That's actually a really good way to look at it. It's
well, because even the song Never Again is about domestic violence.
Yes.
When I was going back, because Spotify now has lyrics.
Yep.
You don't read lyrics when you're growing up.
No.
You listen to the song, so you're not really paying attention. But some of those tracks, I'm like, wow, he's writing some serious stuff in here.
Right. Brandon, like when you initially listened to them, did you pick up on anything? Because for me, I mean, I didn't really listen to them at all, but you guys did more so when we were younger.
No, Brian's right. It's like
Yeah.
there's so much going on. There's so much stimuli happening. It's like the drums sound really cool, or the melody is like captivating or catchy,
Yeah.
or whatever. There's all these musical elements, lyrics kind of, and then as you kind of, I think as you grow up a little bit, you start to pay more attention to that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember in that it was in that documentary that came with All the Right Reasons. They talked about the song "Side of a Bullet,"
Mm-hmm.
right? And that song is about Dimebag Darrell and how he was killed on stage.
Yes.
And I was like, that's cool. Like they talked about this is what this song is about. So I remember going to the concert and being like, I'm looking forward to hearing this song and like having him talk about what this song's about.
Right.
And hearing him explain it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think with their songs, it's a little more like the lyrics are up front and center because it's pop music, and it's not cryptic. It's not like you have to sit there and analyze what any song's about.
Yeah,
but
But when I was 12 learning to play the drums, I did not know what Animals was about.
I still remember sitting.
Yes.
I still remember sitting in your basement watching you play that song.
Yeah,
I
I'm
remember
just
that too.
like the drums were
I
sick, and
remember
I'm
you
trying
like
to learn how
learned
to
that
play.
song on your Black Pearl drum set.
Yeah,
And I don't even think I was playing much drums at that, but you were playing more drums than I was, I think.
well,
I
we
think
started
were
at the same time in grade 7 because I only got into drums because
right.
you wanted drums and music, and I was like, well, I want to play the drums too. So then we
You were
kind of
definitely better than me too. I like at one point,
at
like
the
you were
start,
definitely
the
like
very start. I think I
at
was
the
heavy
start,
into
like
it.
you had a better. I think you had a better sound and like a better like.
I think Brian, you were playing drums as much as I was playing bass at the start. It
Yeah,
was like
I was playing it every day.
hours.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, I think you were pretty. I think you were like you could have been a really good drummer.
I changed
think
the
so.
dance, guys.
Yeah. Still could put
I
the
think
rhythm stuff. He would have been
Yeah.
good.
He would have been sick.
Yeah, he would have been real good.
Yeah,
Like
Because I remember you playing Animals and like you had like the fills in the beginning. You were like, I remember you going like da, poo, poo, ka.
yeah.
And then you were kind of doing like snare rolls and where the kick like, but it was like you were like you were hitting the drums like you were. I remember like
Those
it was
were good
sounding
times.
good.
Yeah.
I remember the sound of those
Nickelback was the
drums.
reason why I wanted to drum.
I do.
Yeah. Do you?
I remember your dad you guys put a giant pillow in the kick, so like it was just like all pillow, but it sounded sick because it just sounded so clicky, like it just sounded really nice.
Yeah.
And your basement was all carpeted,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
it was like it sounded good.
But let me
had
tell
the
you,
rings
outside
on
of
the
my bedroom,
tongs.
it was very loud.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I still have your cowbell. I use it all
Yeah.
the time.
That's sick. Yeah, because I gave you my drum set went from my house to Nick's house to
Oh
you.
yeah, the basement. I forgot about
Yeah.
that. Holy crap! That's all we really did. A lot of
was.
it. It's
Grade
just
7
music.
and 8 is all we. Even at recess, we didn't go outside. We went to the
No.
music room.
Yeah.
Remember the drum solo we did, Brandon?
Yeah,
That was sick.
Somebody's got a video of that. I want to
my mom claims she has these videos. She's like, I have. I'm like, no, you don't.
find them.
But
We practiced in Brandon's garage
if I
for
find them,
weeks.
that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
What's that?
We practiced in your garage for weeks for that drum solo, just trying to come up with some stuff.
I remember we totally ripped off Neil Peart too because I went doom doom, and then you went doom doom.
Yeah. Well, there was a
Dude,
song.
dude,
Wasn't there a song
dude,
called
dude.
Moby Dick that you really like to fill in or something that we kind of snatched?
A Zeppelin song?
I think so.
I bet we did it very correctly too. I bet we did it just like Mara.
Just like that. It was so good. Ugh. But when you guys were listening to this music,
Mhm.
clearly I was just listening to it for the adrenaline rush it gave me on the instruments. But going back now, appreciating it differently as musicians yourselves, because you guys tour all the time to go do shows. Did you have a favorite? Is your favorite album different now than it was then?
No. No. I don't think it's different for me because I feel like All the Right Reasons still
It's the
hits.
best album.
It just hits all the right beats for me, and it captures what I I remember about Nickelback and what I didn't know I appreciated about them. But like now it's easier to articulate. I'm like, that's them. That's what I like.
The best album is for me is different than my favorite. So when I wrote my notes down, I clearly wrote I don't like the opening track to All the Right Reasons. I'm just gonna say that.
Okay.
You don't like that song?
I don't know. It doesn't hit for me like all the other songs.
That drum intro
Mhm.
starts that. I think it starts that documentary that got me obsessed because it's like like with the double bass thing, and I'm like, oh, is this their song?
Yes.
I don't know. There was something about the lyrics and how the chorus kind of flowed that it didn't hit with me.
Mhm.
Because I'm going to be honest, I never heard the song in my life. Going back listening to it now,
Oh, okay.
because I didn't know about listening to an album back then. I just listened to songs
When we
either on the radio
legally,
or I snatched off a LimeWire.
we legally bought them from Apple iTunes.
Yeah, because there was another song on that album that I didn't know about until re-listening to the album, which was "Someone That You're With." It's the second last song of that album.
Yeah.
And I was like, how did I not know about this before? But because I was only listening to the singles.
Oh,
But I literally
right.
wrote in my notes that this is the reason why they became rock stars. The whole album is the reason why they were.
Yeah.
But Dark Horse is my favorite album
That I knew.
because of the time of my life and how heavy I was into Nickelback.
Yeah.
And I was drumming at the time, and all the songs on there hit exactly what I needed to hear. Even though I know All the Right Reasons is the best album, Dark Horse was my favorite album.
For sure.
I got Dark Horse for my birthday, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember coming to your house, you're like, yo, I got Dark Horse. I was like, sick.
That's
That
the
burned
album.
it to the ground, man. That song is still like
It's nuts.
such a banger.
That album to me is like, if my brain is feeling like really energetic and destructive, that's what I want to listen to. Just like, I just want to like run just fast anywhere. That's what I'll listen to.
Yeah, because my top three are All the Right Reasons, Dark Horse, and Feed the Machine.
Oh, okay. See, and I don't think I listen to anything beyond Here and Now.
Mm-hmm.
But I
you
like
only
that
listen
one.
Here Now because of me.
We'll cut that out.
What?
Nick's just like, I don't know.
I don't know
listen.
anything beyond this.
Oh no, that's you can say that because not everybody has
It's
kept
fine.
up with. Not everyone's kept up with the music.
Yeah.
Like I thought I didn't listen to anything past Here and Now.
Right.
I didn't
And then you're
remember.
like,
But
what am I
what are
talking
you talking
about?
about? I listened to all these songs.
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite album of theirs. I think every album's got something to offer. All the Right Reasons was very impactful, I think. So that might be my favorite if I had. But there's some great stuff on Long Road. I really like some of the songs on the Long Road.
Yeah, Flat on the Floor, Someday, Feeling Way Too Damn Good, Because of You, Figured You Out.
Yeah.
That was just like the whole album.
Yeah.
It's just like
I
listen
wrote-
to all the songs.
I wrote it's a solid album, but then I was like the last half kind of like trails off because like the first half is so
Yeah,
good.
I just think I don't think I haven't heard that whole but fun little story from the Boots and Hearts show. I was side stage watching one of my all-time favorite bands, Big Wreck.
You were side stage?
Sorry, I was at the side stage, like watching the
okay.
side which is still a massive stage.
Yeah.
Right. Watching Big Wreck. Big Wreck did a set at Boots and Hearts on the same day as Nickelback.
So cool.
Again, I don't think that was done unintentionally because the singer of Big Wreck, Ian Thornley, was signed as a solo artist to 604 Records. So him and Chad have a relationship, and I'm like almost like a few, just standing watching the Big Wreck set, and I'm right there, like right in front of the stage, and Ian, in between songs, Ian Thornley, he goes, "Oh, look who it is!" And Chad was watching from the side stage, watching Big Wreck set.
That's
Right?
wild.
And Chad's like, this is in the afternoon. Chad's, he's got a huge concert to play on the main stage later on, but he's watching his old buddy Ian Thornley, and then Chad actually comes out on stage, and everyone in because it's just not a small crowd, but like a smaller little crowd in this tent side stage, right? And everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's Chad Kroeger. That's crazy. And Chad and him kind of hug it out. And then Chad does one of these to Ian Thornley. And the reason he does that is because Thornley is, well recognized as one of the greatest guitarist singers. Just he's a beast. Like he's just a beast on his instruments, right? And songwriters too, and lyricists, and he's a total rock star. So even Chad obviously being, Chad Kroeger, as big as he is, it's cool to see him acknowledge like this guy is the real deal,
Oh yeah.
It was cool. And I hope I get to see them live again at some point.
We should all go together. I'd love to see them live.
That'd be cool.
We'll take Brian on his first Nickelback. Hey, Nick, have you seen them?
I have not.
No.
You'll take us both to our first Nickelback show.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sweet.
And then we'll get ice cream after.
Yes. Thanks, Dad.
Do you guys feel your music taste has changed from when we started in grade 7 to now? Like, do you feel like you like the same kind of stuff where your bands are totally different?
No.
I think they've changed.
I only like Rush.
Russian Dream Theater for life. Yeah, definitely.
And Primus.
And can't forget Primus. No, I definitely, my tastes have changed. But the way Brandon described his favorite album is kind of like how I feel I describe my favorite music now. It's like, I can't pick favorites because I appreciate what I appreciate and I understand why things are popular. But in terms of like what I listen to, I don't think I've listened to a Rush song in a long time, probably the beginning of the summer. But it's because I'm like trying to get into new stuff. I want to hear what's out there. I don't want to miss out on the great art that's being created daily, right? I feel it does a disservice to like even myself creatively, also to not give new things a chance, right? Or even old stuff that I haven't listened to before. So yeah, I definitely say overall my tastes have changed, but I still can go back and listen to a lot of the stuff that I used to listen to. Not all of it though. I could be like, all right, that's enough.
Do you find you get obsessed with a certain, not genre or like artist for like a time of the year? Like say, like there was a time period when I was doing real estate and I was driving around a lot. Patrick Droney's new album came out.
Yeah.
And I never heard him before in my life.
He's great.
Like I didn't know who it was, but I heard the song Brooklyn, which is what got me into it because Spotify has the For You mix kind of thing. I was like, oh, this is a great song. And then I listened to that Patrick Droney album for a good 6 months in a row. Like, like I was just on repeat.
The white one or the yellow one?
The white one.
Yeah, State of the Heart.
State of the Heart.
Okay,
that whole album is unreal.
Aiden showed me Brooklyn, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And I was like, who the heck is this guy? He's really, really good. But yeah.
But it's like, that's not my favorite style of music, but that just for some reason, that year of my life, I was something attached myself to his style and then kind of carried waves throughout every year. Yeah,
you kind of associate a time, a feeling, a season, whatever, to some art form, and then you revisit it or things similar to that every year. And then for me, I'm like, okay, I want to try to find something new that'll go here. Hopefully it happens organically and I'm not just like sifting through Spotify and like finding something.
It's always the best when it's like a playlist you don't know about and then something sparks and then it's your whole identity for like 5 months.
Well, I'm always trying to like, if we're out somewhere and I hear a song, I try to find it and then listen to it and see if I like it. Mm-hmm. Even if it's really weird, I'll still listen to the song and then I'll be like, okay, it's not for me. Or I'll start a little bit of a dive into it and then listen to the album. And then I'll be pleasantly surprised.
Because when I was learning to play acoustic, I was like country hits, Dan O'Shea, like just because every country song is like you learn the 4 chords, you kind of play along. So learning to play acoustic was kind of my country-ish era for easier songs to get into.
For sure. for sure.
Brandon, do you think your style has changed? Like what bands you like now correlates to when you were growing up?
It's funny because like the stuff I appreciate the most, not the most, but like the stuff is all the stuff like we would poo poo on when we were getting into, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's like is the opposite.
Do you think it caters to your drumming style now? Like what you like to play?
It's so funny because it's like when I first got into music, like we were joke, but it was like Rush and Dream Theater, right? And now I'm just like, what is the least amount of things I can bring to do this?
Because you were down to like a tom and one.
Yeah,
one tom.
I play a Ringo kit, and I love the Beatles now. Oh, I hated the Beatles. Now I love them.
You hated them.
I didn't hate the Beatles.
You did. Well, as much as we could at 17.
Yeah, but it's like I love simple music. I do like complex music. I like everything. I mean,
what's your like top 3 artists you're listening to right now?
St. Vincent, Beck, and earlier this year it was the Hives.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This new band project I'm in, I think is heavily influenced by, not heavily, but the sound of the record and like the records we're making is trying to, or not trying to, but like we're listening to like those sense like Beck, the like kind of softer Joey Waronker sound. Joey Waronker's his drummer. Anyway, sorry. But so I'm trying to like just listen to some of that stuff. St. Vincent's new album's fantastic. She's great. Dave Grohl's playing drums on that.
It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, my music taste, there's no taste. It's just everything, you know?
You like little pieces of everything.
I have no taste. That's what I'm trying to say.
Circling back to the documentary real quick, when it got towards the end and they talked about the pandemic and Daniel's injury, I really loved how Chad made him feel like he was family because he didn't know he felt that highly of him, even though he's been in the band for 15 years. They said, yeah, whatever you need, we're going to fix you. And it's like he didn't know the band felt that highly of him. You know what I mean?
Everything was very like unspoken.
Yeah, and you know why that is? I'm just speaking what my opinion is. I think because Daniel Adair was like a session drummer, like a session guy. He played with Three Doors Down before he joined Nickelback,
right? And
he plays with other. You know, he was maybe had other projects too or whatever. But Nickelback obviously became his band. But I think you never lose that. Like when you're a session player, you never lose that. Like it's a crappy thing, but you're always like subconsciously you feel like you're dispensable a little bit, and like people just don't care about you, and or like
you're just little removed from
because
the center,
and you feel like you're the new guy, and you're like, you know what I mean? It's like it's always you always have that like little insecurity, and I think that's what it is. It's like that session. Oh yeah, like I'm valuable, and I'm in this band, and like you know what I mean? Like, and also as a drummer too, it's like it's scary because it's like yeah, like when your body doesn't work properly, you kind of like, well, I don't want to hold back this business, this band that's going to go make millions of dollars. Like you just think it's over, right? Like I really felt bad for him when he was talking about that. So actually it's funny because I had this question because at Boots and Hearts, I saw him play. And so I don't know if you guys have seen any footage, but he has so what he does now is I don't know how he does it, but he has it must be like a ring of some kind that attaches the drumstick to his hand. And he holds the stick like this. So his hand is wide open the entire time he's playing.
Oh.
And it's like this.
I didn't know that. I thought they sent him and there was no more issues. I just thought
I think he's changed. The way he plays now is in his right hand, which by the way, your right hand is everything, right?
Yeah.
So he the whole show, his hand was open like this.
Oh.
And the sticks were kind of just there.
Can you remind me what happened to his hand? I don't remember.
I think he had like this like nerve that went up his arm.
Yeah.
And like it was something
that went up through his neck all the way down to his elbow. and
Yeah.
then it caused him to
okay,
lose
okay.
feeling in his arm.
Yeah.
So he had some kind of it was a rare condition. And so I was watching him play at Bluton Arts, and his hands wide open the whole time.
Yeah.
So he must have some kind of thing that attaches to his finger.
Yes.
But sounding killer. It was great. But
And-
but yeah, that was. I'm glad we touched on that because I saw that and I was like, what is going on? Like, why is he holding the stick so weird?
Because he's
then
not
that
even holding it.
That definitely answered my yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is because, Brandon, you're a drummer, but there was a point where you were having difficulty. You had pain. You didn't know what was causing the pain when you were playing. So
I do.
You didn't have that severe, but have you ever felt like
bad technique?
that watching that
Not
documentary,
knowing what I was doing. What's that?
Watching that documentary, did you feel like, man, what if I could never play because of something that happens like this?
Oh, well, that's the thing. It's like I really value health and taking care of myself for that reason. It's like I make money. I make a good chunk of my living playing drums, teaching drums, the drums. And the drums is a physical instrument. It's a, and that's scary sometimes because it's like that's why I value, like eating as balanced and healthy as I can or as I can manage, and working out and being active and stretching but before gigs, before workouts, like all those things. It's like I really try to be as careful as I can. I don't get into certain things, like certain physical activities, because I feel like no, I'm gonna have that, like if there's a risk of like breaking an arm or doing something stupid, I really try to be careful. And I've employed different techniques, things. I bought an educational course from this drum teacher that talks a lot about body mechanics and healthy movement, healthy motion, sitting properly, sitting high enough so you're not blowing out your lower back, like just, having spine issues. Yeah, just I really, really try to pay attention to that stuff.
Now, I don't know if you guys listened heavily as much as I did, but my final question is, I noticed that 95% of Nickelback's albums are 11 songs. So if you guys could pick 11 songs out of their catalog, what would be your ideal Nickelback album?
I don't know.
You don't know?
That's a crazy
I wrote down my personal album.
You tell us.
I wrote down my personal album. I gave myself, because it was too difficult. So I gave myself
12,
11 songs, and then like 4 extra for like a deluxe.
Oh, okay.
So if they put out a deluxe, so my personal album would be Never Again, How You Remind Me, Animals, Saving Me, Far Away, Burn It to the Ground, Something in Your Mouth, If Today Was Your Last Day, Coin for the Ferryman, For the River, San Quentin, Figured You Out, Flat on the Floor, Someday, and Midnight Queen.
You didn't put Photograph in there.
I did not. I also didn't put Rockstar in there.
No.
Again, it was too difficult, but I think Photograph, I can't listen to it as much as the others because maybe I heard it too much growing up. Same with Rockstar. Like I can listen to it 1 or 2 times in a week, but it's I can't on loop. Like these songs are my ideal. Like I could listen to probably every day.
Gotcha.
A singer-songwriter friend of mine put this in perspective. He said, imagine you're at a bar and you hear this guy with an acoustic guitar and he's playing covers, and then at one point he goes, I wrote this song. This is a song I wrote. Check it out. And he just starts playing. Look at this photograph. With that voice in the original key or whatever. Mm-hmm. You'd be like,
yeah.
Oh my God, this song's incredible. like you know what I mean? It's like, that's the power of like great songs. Is like that song is just.
Well, I'm going to agree with you. Photograph is a great song. there was too many to choose from.
I know.
I just didn't make my thought.
I understand.
This one is more for like, this is like your pick. This isn't like the pick for everybody.
Yeah. Because I was looking at it like also, there's some songs on here, because I was debating Someday and Rockstar. But then I said, well, what there's songs on here that I like as well that don't make it, but what songs do the same thing but better for me? You know what I mean?
Right.
So what I was kind of getting to, like, is like I think the verdict's out that Nickelback, you got to give it to him, and now you're starting to see memes of the going the opposite direction. Like Nick, you sent me a meme the other day that was it was Nirvana if they weren't mid, and it's Kurt Cobain unplugged. The unplugged Nirvana session, but it's just Rockstar over top of it.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
But like, you know, Nirvana's awesome. But like, you know, it's funny because it's like, yeah, people are like, no, this is a killer song. Like this is this is great. And you know, now we're starting to come to an era of appreciation for that band, and I think it's cool. I'm glad that's occurred, and I think the documentary is a good way for people to kind of just relax a little bit. Just like it. Just enjoy Just enjoy it.
It brought up a lot of memories watching that documentary because I watched it twice.
Oh,
we had pushed this back, and I was like, well, I have to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
But it was so enjoyable to watch a second time, but it brought so many memories up of how I started listening and all the albums that I thought I forgot about, you know?
Yes. And Brandon, you kind of bringing up like, yeah, just relax, like just enjoy it. I think it's people get really caught up in
other people's opinions.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, this is good or this is bad. It's like it doesn't, not really. It's just you don't have to like it right now. Just enjoy it, sit and listen and take it in. You don't want to miss out on something because you think other people don't like it or it's not your speed right now. It's just like, just table it and come back to it. Might change your mind.
What's your favorite song?
Oh, like burn it to the ground. Like right now, to me, that's just like, hell yeah. Because it's so nuts. Like that's just kind of like where I put Nickelback in my brain. It's just like just nuts music, and burn it to the ground is one of those. But, you know, if I'm thinking from a purely like musical standpoint, it would be Photograph.
I think How You Remind Me is better than Photograph.
It is probably my third song.
I wrote in my notes that it was unskippable.
Oh, for sure.
You can't skip How You Remind Me.
Yeah.
It starts.
That's a good way to look at it. It's like, would I skip this song?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Brandon, what would you pick?
Yeah, I think Photograph.
Yeah. It's just one of those, I don't know. Well, like you said, Brian, you've listened to it how many countless times.
Yeah.
It might just be a little tiring now for you. You could easily skip it. I'm not there yet.
Because in terms of building my album, I was like, well, how many of these songs do I want on here?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not putting it over Saving Me and Far Away. Because at the time of my life, those two were better than Photograph to me.
Right.
So I'm not removing any of those to put Photograph on this list. And then I just love the rock stuff.
Right.
And then listening to Feed the Machine, that album, there's like Coin for the Ferryman and For the River. There's so many good songs on the album that I forgot about that I loved. And I was like, well, I can't remove those. And then the only one off of Get Rollin' was San Quentin, just because it hits that rock and roll vibe that I want on my Nickelback playlist.
Right.
But yeah, I don't disagree with your guys' picks.
Yeah. I like your deluxe album.
Yeah, I couldn't do 11. There's so many songs.
Yeah.
There's like 10 albums.
What is it? 30 years of music. It's kind of hard to do 11 songs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let us know below what your top 3 Nickelback songs are. If you're a Nickelback fan, if you were a hater at first and then turned your life around.
If you're still a hater, go away.
I'm sure you wouldn't have listened to this if you're a hater anyway.
Yeah. Send us the rage comments
or
the praise. It'd be great to hear about that too. That'd be nice.
If you've been a fan for years and how many concerts you've been to, and if you're diehard, what your album would be. But yeah, I want to thank Brandon for hopping on, talking about Nickelback, a little deep dive into music.
Yeah.
We don't have too many podcasts where he can hop on and feels comfortable diving into stuff that he really knows. So it's always great to have him on.
Yeah.
We'll have to do another music one soon.
I think so.
Yeah.
Russian Dream Theater.
I can add to the Rush only because of my experience with you guys.
Yeah.
But I want to thank everybody for listening. This has been 2 hours on a Sunday. I'm Brian,
And I'm Nick.
and we'll catch you guys later.